4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network, this is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and, of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. I got Stuart Kovacs. I got Carlos with a K. Carlos Ortiz rocking on with me all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific today. We are a day away from the 2024 NFL Draft, with the first round beginning tomorrow. We will have 3 prospects join us today. Coming up 20 minutes from now, edge rusher out of Alabama, Dallas Turner, will stop by. Joe Alt, the offensive lineman out of Notre Dame, projected to go in the first 7 picks of the draft. He's going to swing by at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then the final hour of the show, Brian Thomas Jr., the excellent wide receiver out of LSU. I know we've talked a lot about Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. Brian Thomas Jr., I will be surprised if he's not selected in the first 20 picks. Probably he will go in the top 15 as well. And obviously it is a Winkler Wednesday, so Bart Winkler will stop by at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time today. I'll get to some of this Brandon Aiyuk trade speculation in just a second. However, as we are a day away from the draft, and everyone has their mock draft, and everyone gives you their thoughts and opinions, I truly do believe, when you examine the first 6 picks, that this will go either one of 2 ways. Option 1, Bears, Caleb Williams, Commanders, Jaden Daniels. Patriots, Drake May at 3. Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. Trade up, Vikings move with the Chargers, and Minnesota lands J.J. McCarthy, and then the Giants take Malik Neighbors at 6. That's option 1. Option 2, and I think you'll see something here from option 1 to option 2. The first 4 picks are the same. Caleb Williams 1, Jaden Daniels 2, Drake May 3, Marvin Harrison Jr. 4, and then Chargers don't pull the trigger on a trade. Someone does not jump the Giants to go get a quarterback. Malik Neighbors goes to the Chargers, and then the Giants ends up taking J.J. McCarthy. That's what I think right now, and I do find it funny. Here's a big difference between Samter and Carlos when we work with either one. And obviously Samter's here usually 5 days a week, but he's on vacation today. Carlos, he wears his emotions on his sleeves, where Samter, you could just tell he's annoyed, but he won't react to what you say. Carlos, like, word for word, imitates my intro that we do. And then when I was going through option 1, Carlos, like, looked around. He was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with what Zach said, Malik Neighbors for the New York Football Giants. And then when I read option 2 and I said J.J. McCarthy, Carlos just went, oh, my God, no, oh, terrible.
That's accurate.
So you said very low, by the way. You kind of look like Samter. Jeez. Why do you sit so low to the ground?
Well, first of all,
you're a big guy. You're a tall guy.
Proper representation for Mike, who's not here. But as well as, I think I've explained this before, I like a low center of gravity in case I need to be able to uppercut somebody through that door.
I thought it was just because you were a larger fella, and sometimes we don't have the best chairs here. And I've been in some of those chairs where you sit in the chair, and then all of a sudden it's the humiliation of just the chair going,
which I have been through plenty of times in the morning, but I like this chair.
But that's where I'm at right now, where I fully believe the first 4 picks, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Marvin Harrison Jr. After that, though, that's where I think it gets very fun in this quest for someone to try to jump the Giants to go make sure that there are 4 quarterbacks off the board. Now, the Patriots and the Cardinals could be players in trading back, but I don't really think, unless there is this crazy type of offer, which maybe it comes together in the next 24 hours when teams start to get really serious, I still believe that the Patriots are taking a quarterback, and I don't believe the Cardinals are trading back 2 years in a row. So that Chargers spot is a prime spot where I could see the Chargers definitely trading the pick, or I could see the Chargers taking the next best player available, which in option 2 was Malik Neighbors. Before I get to Brandon Aiyuk, though, and talk about a team that needs to trade for him, I'm just wondering, Carlos, you representing the Giant fan, and on a national landscape, probably the most polarizing prospect in this draft is J.J. McCarthy.
Yep.
You have a lot of people that are in the know, whether it's GMs or scouts, raving about J.J. McCarthy. And then it's the public, it's us, who are saying, don't really love J.J. Like, my team needs a quarterback. And I've said this before. I believe Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels are the two best quarterbacks in this draft class. And the next tier of guys, if you're saying someone that has the best chance of being elite, it's Drake May. Now, Drake May, I think it depends where he goes. If he plays right away, I don't feel good about him reaching his potential. Like, Drake May goes to the Patriots, I don't think Drake May should be on the field in year one. Drake May goes to the Giants, Dayball with what he did with Josh Allen could make sense, but you throw Daniel Jones to the Wolves for one more season, you don't play him right away. He goes to the Vikings. I think it's tough to make him sit, but they have enough around him where even if he's not NFL ready yet, he should be able to succeed when you have Aaron Jones, when you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. McCarthy, I think the fit is the biggest part. He goes to the Giants. He goes to the Patriots. I'll be surprised if J.J. McCarthy is a very good pro. He goes to the Vikings, though. I think J.J. McCarthy could have a very good career. Michael Penix Jr., I think fit is big for him, too. He had the two big wide receivers at Washington. So the Giants drafted Michael Penix Jr., the Patriots drafted Michael Penix Jr. I don't feel great about it. He goes to Minnesota, though. We know he is pro-ready. He should be able to have success, especially with the deep ball ability that they have there. And he's the best deep ball thrower out of this class because of the wide receivers that you have, too. So I'm just wondering, since I don't despise J.J. McCarthy, I love J.J. McCarthy in college, obviously, being a Michigan guy. I look at J.J., and I just think his ceiling is a good quarterback at best. But you being at 6, your team not having an answer at quarterback because Daniel Jones is not the dude, and he's too banged up. He suffered way too many injuries, and we know the Giants want to move on from him eventually in due time. Like, this is going to be, here's the hot take of the day. This is going to be Daniel Jones' last year on the Giants. So you having a team that needs a quarterback and look like you were about to scream and curse me out for saying J.J. McCarthy possibly to the Giants at 6, you give me the argument, Carlos, why you aren't a J.J. McCarthy guy.
You already had it in your explanation. J.J. McCarthy's ceiling is good. We have that already. Daniel Jones' ceiling is good. No, but we've seen what we can see already in 3 years of Daniel Jones coming out of Duke. People weren't in love with his ceiling and his prospects when they traded up. They thought Daniel Jones at 6 was a reach when they drafted him last year. So it's just history repeating itself. At no point did most Giants fans last year look at J.J. McCarthy and think he was the 6th best prospect in all of college. Not even the 4th quarterback, but 6th best player, period. So to me and a lot of fellow Giants fans who had to sit through Daniel Jones getting paid off of his best season, which was 15 touchdowns, we would just be watching the same rehearsed thing of J.J. McCarthy coming in and at best being a serviceable quarterback. Giants fans are sick of quarterbacks that fit the mold of a Giants guy, of someone who can just, not screw it up. You need a quarterback that's going to be a franchise game changer. There's teams that have him, and the Giants have not had that since Eli, and even Eli wasn't that guy.
Yeah, and Eli won you 2 championships, so that's why Eli's going to get into the Hall of Fame. But I don't ever think a lot of Giants fans who tried to run Eli Manning out of town ever thought that they had one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the sport. And at least you're in the NFC, where there's a lot of question marks at the quarterback position. But if you're an AFC team, I think your argument plays even more of a factor where you think a guy just could be good and not great. You better have like a team like the 49ers around him for someone like a Brock Purdy, who I think is very good, but obviously benefits with the talent around him. And Brock Purdy showed a lot of good things this past year. But in the AFC, for the foreseeable future, Mahomes ain't going anywhere. Joe Burrow, as long as he stays healthy, isn't going anywhere. And Josh Allen's still there. And you have the development and the year 1 breakout stardom of C.J. Stroud, too. So, and who knows what Herbert. Like, I think Herbert's going to be really good for a long time. Rodgers is still in the AFC for 2 years. So that's the tricky part that I think a lot of fans are in, where you don't want to just take a quarterback to take a quarterback, but you need a quarterback in this league, and the guy on your roster isn't the guy. So, yes, you may be drafting a guy that you may say, I don't know if he's great, or maybe he's just good, but there's a lot of times where us as fans, we've been terrible. More times than not, we are more wrong than right in evaluating these quarterbacks. And you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you don't, then it's like, okay, it's another punted season with Daniel Jones going out there. But if you do, then you have the flip of the coin where it could work or it may not work. Finding a quarterback, it's the toughest thing to do in sports. So I gave you how I thought two options, how the first 6 picks are going to play out. I remember a few years ago, you had A.J. Brown, who wasn't getting a long-term contract in Tennessee. And then on draft night, we're sitting there in the first round, and Tennessee trades A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles, and they gave him back a first-round pick. I don't know if that happens tomorrow. I would feel comfortable if I'm a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers giving up pick 20 for Brandon Aiyuk and paying him. But Brandon Aiyuk may end up getting traded for a second-round pick. And I understand he played last year like he was a first-round wide receiver with 1,400 yards. And you could say he benefited the system, but he still balled out. You know, it does make it easier when teams are more focused on McCaffrey and Debo when you prepare for the 49ers. But I look at Brandon Aiyuk as a bona fide number 1 wide receiver in the league. Like Brandon Aiyuk compared to Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel is the better all-around player. But from a receiving standpoint, Brandon Aiyuk is a better receiver than Debo Samuel. And I know that the 49ers kind of poo-pooed the whole thing, that they're not trading Brandon Aiyuk. But Brandon Aiyuk keeps on stirring the pot on social media. He clearly wants a new contract. And if he is going to get traded, I think it happens either tomorrow or on Friday at the absolute latest. And a team like the Steelers, who, right, there's been flirtations before, they should absolutely pounce. Because look at the Steelers right now. They have a solid team. They got a great defense. On offense, Justin Fields is the backup right now. Russell Wilson will be the starter. You have George Pickens. You got rid of Deontay Johnson with him getting traded to the Panthers. You still have Pat Freiermuth, the tight end. You got Najee Harris. And you got Jaylen Warren. You go add, though, Brandon Aiyuk for a first or a second-round pick, and you could put Brandon Aiyuk, George Pickens, 1-2 punch with the complementary other pieces in your backfield, being the 2 running backs and Harris and Warren, and then Freiermuth as tight end. Like, that's more than enough for Justin Fields or Russell Wilson to have an abundance of success, even in a tough division and a tough conference in the year of 2024. And let's be real, the Steelers' offense has been trash for a while. And whenever the defense is humming, the offense is just inefficient. Whenever the offense is humming, the defense stinks. You have a chance this weekend and this week to close the gap from where the defense is and to where the offense is. And I don't want to say make them equal, but make them close to equal. So that's why I look at a team like the 49ers. And I don't think they should trade Brandon Aiyuk, but business may make them trade him. Like I personally, for the Bengals and the 49ers, even if you're not going to re-sign T. Higgins and Brandon Aiyuk long-term, I keep them for this year because you're all in to win a Super Bowl. And you have a legitimate chance to win a Super Bowl. But if you say to yourself, you want to pick up a first or pick up a second, and you know you're not going to give him a long-term contract, then teams like the Steelers need to come calling. The Patriots, who need a wide receiver, need to come calling. I know Indianapolis just paid Michael, the wide receiver, why can't I think of his name right now, out of USC, Michael Pittman Jr. But they could use another piece for a young quarterback in Anthony Richardson. The Bills, we think they're going to go get their wide receiver via the draft. But what happens if, like, Buffalo ends up trading for Brandon Aiyuk? That would be awesome. And then I saw the Lions give 2 deals today to Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Maybe that motivates the Packers, who do have Dobbs and Watson, to maybe go get a piece as well for their young quarterback in Jordan Love. So Steelers, that's something I'm watching. Can they find a way on Thursday or Friday to execute a trade for Brandon Aiyuk? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We have Dallas Turner, the Alabama edge rusher, who could be the first defensive player off the board, especially in the top 10, coming up tomorrow evening. He'll join us on the other side. Joe Alt will join us at the top of the hour, and we'll also chat it up in the 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific hour with Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, rock and rolling is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft, P&G is providing players with essentials from trusted P&G brands like Old Spice to help them be ready for anything as they begin their pro careers. We know the NFL Draft comes your way tomorrow evening, and someone that will hear their name in the first round out of Alabama is Dallas Turner, and he's kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Dallas, appreciate the time. Thanks so much. How you been?
Man, I'm blessed and thankful. Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate you jumping on board with us. So a lot of people are going to tell me how you should be used at the next level. I know that you'll be willing to do whatever a team tells you, but how do you think you should best be used as a edge rusher in the NFL?
I mean, you said it, edge rusher. So probably rushing the quarterback would probably be, the most prominent thing. But, it's still got to be a football player at the end of the day.
We all know that it's an adjustment going from college to the NFL. What kind of immediate impact do you think you could bring to whatever team calls your name coming up tomorrow evening? I think we're Dallas, can you still hear us?
I'm here.
Yeah, the immediate impact. What do you think you could bring to a team right away to the NFL?
Well, I could definitely bring the energy, the energy to the team. I could definitely bring a good positive mindset into the locker room. But really just the football mindset, just being all about ball. And, just really just willing to work hard and just the so, really just inspire the guys, hopefully be inspired by my teammates, to be better every day. So
we know that a lot of guys come from Alabama. They end up having successful careers. Dallas Turner. We just saw recently Will Anderson have a very successful rookie season. When you were with Will together at Alabama, what were you able to learn from him?
I learned a lot more from Will, from his mindset and how he carries himself, from his practice habits to his treatment regimens to, even the time he even goes to sleep at night. So, really just about how serious he took the game and how dedicated he was on and off the field to taking care of his body, really just to giving back into the game, stuff like that. So I'll probably say that for sure.
Yeah, he was an incredible leader. It's rare where you see a rookie be able to be a captain on an NFL team, and that's what he had the honor bestowed on him last year. How do you kind of describe your leadership capabilities? Because, hey, you go in the top 10, people not only expect you to dominate on the field, but then also be a leader on and off the field.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, being around the great leaders I've been around at the University of Alabama, like Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Jordan Battle, Henry Toto, just to name a few. I kind of know what it takes to be a leader in a way. I kind of know the responsibility that come with that. And I kind of know how to do it in a way, too, being named the captain myself last year. So, it'll definitely be a good opportunity, to go into an organization, and, just pushing guys in the right direction. I'll say that. Even though I'm going to be doing stuff like that, still going to bring good energy to the team. I'm still going to be positive to my guys and stuff. So
Dallas Turner is my guess. A year ago, everyone was talking about Bryce Young, and we all know he was the number 1 overall pick. And this year didn't go the way that him or the Panthers wanted it to go. What do you say to people that are doubting if Bryce Young could still be a great NFL quarterback?
Tell them keep doubting. Tell them keep doubting for sure. But Bryce going everything. Bryce knows the type of person. He knows how to play his cards real well. I feel like with the type of dude that Bryce is and how hard he works. And just all the working time that he puts into the game and into his body as well. Everything's going to pay out eventually. But Rome wasn't built in one night. So it's going to take some time for him. To develop him and his team. And to be a real franchise. So but really yeah, he's a dog for sure. Just give him some time.
I want to ask you about your quarterback from this past year, Jalen Milroe, because he had the rough spot, but at the end of the year, he started playing some really damn good football. What do you think Jalen Milroe could really turn into as he continues his college journey at Alabama?
In my eyes, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a Heisman. In my opinion, I ain't gonna lie. Just from knowing from how hard he works. So last year, was Jay Mills' real first year, starting as quarterback, playing quarterback, his real first game experience of being a quarterback for the University of Alabama. So, but all of that started in May, June, when this man was coming to 6:30 workouts at 4:30 to get extra work in. So me being me, I like to come to the facility early. So I like to be the first one there. So 6:30 lifts, I will try and get there at 5:45, 5:30. So I'm there at 5:30, 5:45, a whole hour before, and his car is already there. And he's not in it. Like, he's actually in there working out already, doing his stuff. And so he started that in June, May or June was this? Yeah, either one of those 2 months. And it transpired to the end of the season. So he was doing this from, because I stopped. Like, once the 6:30, like, what's up? 6:30 was 6:30, because when school started. Like, during the summer, you know, you're going to grind and play football and stuff like that. But, like, I was doing 6:30, like, but he was real consistent in making sure that he put his work in and being the first guy in and the last guy out. Like, that's what I seen from him. And so since I seen that in the summer and seen him carry that into the season, I kind of was never like, I never had no doubt in my mind that he was going to get better as a quarterback and that he was going to grow real fast because he worked and was willing to learn and, you know, just be a sponge to everything. And so, you know, it was really just I was always in his corner. I always had his back no matter what, through the ups and the downs. That's always my quarterback. So,
yeah, I can't wait to see what he does this year with Kalen DeBoer, who's a brilliant offensive mind. But I got to ask you about your ball coach from college and Nick Saban. How did you kind of process? What was the initial reaction when you found out that, okay, this is actually happening, Nick Saban is retiring?
I mean, sure, I was gone, but really it was a surprise at first, but it wasn't at the same time. You know, it was just something that you got to keep in the back of your mind. But, you know, it definitely was shocking at first, you know, finding out through social media and Twitter and stuff like that, probably the same way you did. And, you know, it was just like, oh, wow, like it really happened. Like, people talk about it, you know, what if that, what if this, and it happened. But, you know, I really feel like with Coach DeBoer being there, you know, he's a very good coach. You know, he has a very good track record of, you know, winning and being a dominant program wherever he was at. And so, you know, I really feel like, you know, he's going to fill in those shoes very well, you know, and create his own legacy there. So, yeah.
Do you have an idea, Dallas Turner, where you think you're going to go tomorrow evening?
I mean, if you know, let me know. but I don't know where I'm going to go tomorrow, so we're going to find out at the same time.
It feels like a lot of people are saying Atlanta. It feels like the Bears. Have you had a lot of conversations with those two teams?
I mean, yeah, you know, a lot of the teams that I visited on, you know, it was a lot of the teams that were possibly picking me up. But, you know, last year we're seeing Will supposed to go at 3 to the Cardinals, and, you know, Houston had traded up to go get him. You know, anything could happen. So, you know, it's just more of just go with the flow. And so, you know, I'm going with the flow right now. So,
just curious, since you did go up against Jaden Daniels quite a few times in college, what would you tell a team that's thinking about maybe taking Jaden Daniels as a quarterback?
Hey, he threw for 350 yards and ran for over 250 yards in the SEC game.
That's all you got to say. Yeah, man, I can't wait to see what he does. He reminds me like Lamar Jackson, except just with a better arm, I feel like.
I love LJ. LJ, my favorite quarterback, but he got potential to be better than him, in my opinion. I ain't gonna lie, from what I've seen. But yeah, he's definitely a good character. You know, I've been up here cooling with him and Malik and Brian, so you know, it's been real good vibes.
All right, yeah, I know you got to run, but before we let you run, tell me what you're doing today with P&G and also Old Spice.
You know, real happy and excited, you know, for NFL Draft, you know, to take this next step. You know, lots about the change in, you know, a new team, a new routine, a new home, a new city. But, you know, I know P&G, you know, has the essentials I need to be ready for anything. So, but, you know, just going into this season, you know, they just came out with a new Old Spice Total Body Deodorant, you know, it has my back heading into anything. So, you know, it's gentle enough to use all over, you know, and it gives you that 24/7 freshness, you know, wherever you spray that from head to toe. You know, to make sure that you're fresh throughout the day. So, yeah, so they helped me a lot throughout this process.
Absolutely love it. Dallas Turner, good luck. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Real talk.
There you go. Dallas Turner joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You know, that's something I'm going to be curious about, how many defenders end up going in the top 10. Because I just gave you how I think the first 6 picks are going to go, and I gave you my 1 or 2 options that I threw out there. You know, I feel like Joe Alt, who's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour, that they're going to see him go to Tennessee at 7. That 8 or 9 range with Atlanta and Chicago is when you start to think maybe defense. I got to think Odunze goes either 8 or 9. I would be surprised if the Jets go defense. Maybe the Jets trade out. I got to think if the Jets stay there, though, they're going to take an offensive player like a Brock Bowers. But I gave you the two options on the first 6 picks. Williams, Daniels, May, Marvin Harrison Jr., 1, 2, 3, 4, staying put. Vikings trading up for McCarthy at 5, and then Malik Neighbors going 6 to the Giants. And the other option was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Chargers getting Malik Neighbors, and the Giants taking J.J. McCarthy. I don't think the Giants are going defense. The Chargers I don't think are going defense. The Cardinals aren't going defense. Obviously, 1 through 3, it's going to be quarterback. And then it's like, could Tennessee go defense? I guess, but I think they're going to beef up their O-line. So then you look at teams like Atlanta and Chicago, but it's not inconceivable that one of them takes a Dunze and the other maybe goes offensive line as well. So there's a real chance that a defensive player doesn't go in the top 10. I would bet, though, one does go in the top 10. And you have, Dallas Turner being mentioned, Jared Verse, the UCLA edge rusher, defensive player as well, Laitu Latu. Now, those seems like the first 3 names that people are talking about with the defense in this draft. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back, update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio with the news brief. Update time first, though. Here he is, Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, thank you, Zach. This one's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today and find out if we could save you hundreds on your car insurance. We're going to start with NFL news. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, he secured the bag. The star wideout in Detroit have reportedly agreed on a 4-year, $120 million extension. The contract includes $77 million guaranteed. That's the most guaranteed money for a wide receiver in a single contract in NFL history. Last season, St. Brown was selected as a first-team All-Pro when he set career best with 119 catches, 1,515 receiving yards, and 10 touchdown receptions. Speaking of securing the bag, golfers Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, they're about to receive massive bonuses for their loyalty. According to The Telegraph, Woods will receive up to $100 million in equity as part of the newly created for-profit PGA Tour Enterprises, with McIlroy getting about half that amount. The payouts are set to be disclosed to the players by PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Moynihan on Wednesday, and the funds are a way to thank players for sticking with the PGA Tour instead of jumping to the rival Live Golf League and huge paydays from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. I'm Dexter Henry.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. It's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question, and it's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Am I supposed to say INF Sports Net on the Twitter handle? I guess, right? That would be it? Stu and Carlos are like looking around as if this is a serious question.
Sure.
It's not a serious question, guys. I feel like when I just read that, though, in like a promo read like that, I'm compelled to say, simply tweet your questions at Sportsnet.
What are you, Ron Burgundy? Like if we put a question mark in the wrong place, you're going to read it too?
Yeah, you go bleep yourself, San Diego. I saw that and I'm like, all right, I know I'm supposed to say INF Sports Net, but when they don't have it with like dashes in between, I want to just simply say, simply tweet your questions at Sportsnet. It's like I'm a tennis player. Sportsnet. I'm sure people will use those sounds and say that they're different noises as well. I remember when I saw Al Leiter once pitch in a spring training baseball game at Port St. Lucie. He would always grunt when he would throw the ball. So maybe we could get him to do some reads for us Hey, I'm Al Leiter. When I used to pitch, I used to sound like this. Listen to Sportsnet. Sounds like a DJ booth.
What are you building the beat?
Yeah. All righty, let's get to a news brief. Hit it.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All righty, on Sportsnet News Brief. Let's start off with Jerry Jones. We will do a lot of Jerry Jones sound today. They get wackier and wackier. Let's play the most sane Jerry Jones sound that we have. And he says the team still has the same all-in mentality, even though he said they were going to be all-in this offseason, and they've signed like 2 free agents, and you couldn't even figure out who those 2 free agents were. Listen up.
We feel great about what we've been in free agency. All in. All in. All in. We're all in with these young guys coming on. And we're all in with this draft. You have to have rookies contribute, or you aren't getting the value that you need to have. These are your lesser paid as far as the other relative to veterans. They're going to the good ones are going to get paid to have other days of more pay. But that's got to meld in with the overall management, or it doesn't work. Because you've got 10 players getting 70% of the money.
I'm sitting here, and I'm trying to figure out how I should respond to this. And I'm paid to speak into a microphone, and I have nothing. Like, that was just 45 seconds of incoherent rambling, where you can't just say, yeah, I said we were going to be all in, but we don't have the reflection that we actually are all in. I'm trying to figure out what he was trying to say, and I'll use what he said on the back end, where when you have so many players that take up so much of your salary cap space that you can't go all crazy in free agency. But one problem, you haven't got a new deal done with Dak Prescott. CeeDee Lamb, did you get a new deal done with him? Oh, no. How about Michael Parsons? Did you get a new deal done with him? No. So you've been all in on being like a couch potato, pretty much, and doing nothing. That's wacky. And that's the sane sound from Jerry Jones. Wait until we play some wackier audio later. Here is Peyton Manning on his conversation with Carlos Ortiz's favorite quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. This is on Stokely and Josh on Denver Sports.
Actually had a conversation with J.J. McCarthy the other day. I texted him, Stoke, after the national championship. I never met him, but we invited him to our football camp, and like Harbaugh wouldn't let him miss a workout, so he didn't get to go. And so I just reached out and said, hey, man, congratulations. Wish you the best of luck in your next chapter. And I guess he thought it was a prank because he never called me back. So I texted him Monday, from the same number, and he's like, oh, it really is you. I thought that was somebody was pranking me. And so I just kind of wished him luck, and he said, hey, I'd love to ask you some questions. So he called me back, and impressive to talk to. And I know Denver's very interested in him, and it sounded like, this is a place he'd love to come to. So, but it's a little bit out of his control.
Carlos, how old are you? Just wondering.
38.
So you're 38. I'm 29. J.J. McCarthy is in his early 20s. I think he's 22, I want to say, with J.J. McCarthy. So, obviously, yeah, J.J. McCarthy's 21. He turns 22 in January. So you have a big age difference, 38 to 21. I have somewhat of a big age difference with J.J. McCarthy, turning 30 in August to him being 21. If someone texted you that was very famous and said, hey, this is so-and-so, want to congratulate you on your success, blah, 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 and you didn't believe it was them, what would you do? Someone texted you that. What would you do? I think there's one answer here.
I'd still text back.
I wouldn't text them. I'd pick up the phone and call them. Because if they're famous, they have a recognizable voice. It's Peyton Manning. You know what he sounds like. Omaha! That's how he probably picks up the phone. I would just call him or FaceTime him to confirm that it's actually him. Because I could text back and be like, hey, number 18 Sheriff, is this really you? And they could say yes. And you could basically I'm not going to say that's going to turn into like a Manti Te'o situation because, J.J. McCarthy wouldn't be dating Peyton Manning, but you have this relationship via text. And it's like one of those things where you can't confirm if that person's actually real or not. So I would have picked up the phone if I was J.J. McCarthy at the time and would have called Peyton Manning back. Here is Peyton Manning. He thinks change of scenery could be very good for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, how the new-ish quarterback with the Denver Broncos. I don't know if he'll ever start, but he is getting an opportunity to be on the roster in Denver. Once again, Stokely and Josh in Denver Sports.
The change of scenario for Zach Wilson, I think, is going to be a good one. I don't know how many coordinators he had in the time he was there, but I want to say it was at least 2. It might have been 3, Stoke. As you know, for a young quarterback, the best way to really, I think, screw a young quarterback up is to change coordinators on him every single year. And it drives me crazy. Look, I was very fortunate. I had an old school coach named Tom Moore, who was the coordinator the entire time I was there in Indianapolis, right? Tom Brady had different coordinators, right? Charlie Weiss, Josh McDaniels, Bill O'Brien, but it was the same system, right? Belichick said, hey, we're running the same exact system. That drives me crazy. And so, look, I think it's a great chapter 2 for Zach. He will get coached hard here by Sean Payton and their staff, which is important for young quarterbacks to be coached hard.
Yeah, you're getting an improvement on the head coach, but it doesn't mean that he's going to be any good. Because like Zach Wilson this past year, and I don't love the Jets coaching, but he had enough around him to show that he could be competent. And outside of the Kansas City game, there weren't really any memories that you go, oh, Zach Wilson looks like he could be a player. So I get it. Peyton Manning, right? He's Mr. Bronco now, so he's not going to say anything negative about Zach Wilson going to Denver because in all reality, it's really a non-story. I don't think anyone believes Zach Wilson's going to go on to be a 10-year starter with the Denver Broncos. Here is Adam Schefter, Shefty as they like to call him, on Get Up, on the idea that the Chargers, with Jim Harbaugh loving J.J. McCarthy, could go QB in the draft when they have some fella that they just paid by the name of Justin Herbert.
The way it was told to me a month ago was that no new money in Just Practice kicked in. To trade him would cost them well over $100 million, which would be the largest cap charge in history. You'd be absorbing the largest cap charge in NFL history to trade one of the elite young quarterback talents. Like, it doesn't make sense for as much as you would get back. And I don't understand how those odds have gone up like that. Is this some sort of gimmick? Is this some sort of thing where they're trying to attract people to get some back? I don't understand it.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, even if you don't fully believe in Justin Herbert, we could all acknowledge he's a good quarterback. You may not think he's great. I think he can be great. The money is really where it's already a non-talking point, but the money even makes it more of a non-talking point. And then also, let's say you get 4 first-round picks for Justin Herbert. Are any of those guys going to be as good as Justin Herbert? Like, if you could get 2 or 1, all right, maybe, but I don't know. Justin Herbert's coming out of college this year. It's probably the first pick in this draft. And I like Caleb Williams a lot. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. So, what, are they running out of things to talk about on Get Up this morning that they're going to that? Jeez. Here is Ryan Clark also on Get Up. He reacts to some great news that I saw today that Reggie Bush, they're finally doing something smart, the Heisman Trophy Trust. They said, bleep the NCAA. We're giving him his Heisman Trophy back.
Reggie Bush is one of the greatest football players to ever grace a college football field, ever. He's one of the best we've ever seen. He captivated an entire nation, and nothing that happened to Reggie Bush's family, nothing that they may have think Reggie Bush was given, had to do with what that man did on the football field. He deserves to not only have his trophy, but he deserves to be a part of everything all of those other players get. He deserves to have his name mentioned amongst the great that have played our game amongst the college ranks. I am so excited for Reggie Bush, and more than anything for him, there has to be a relief that something he earned is now back in his possession.
I wonder why they ended up changing this. And why they gave it back. Now, like, someone could say, oh, well, NIL and all. I don't think that's the reason. There's 2 potential reasons. One is what I think is more likely. The other, it's Twitter speculation. Who knows if it's actually true? Number 1 would be Johnny Manziel said he wasn't going to go to the Heisman Trophy presentation until they give him his Heisman Trophy back. I had RG3 on. RG3 said, hey, maybe, and I know RG3 hosts the ceremony, but maybe some of us talk to Johnny and maybe others join in, right? That would be a bad look for the Heisman Trust when you're giving out the trophy. People that won the trophy are protesting the event because Reggie Bush doesn't have his Heisman Trophy back. The other, and I don't think this is true, but when O.J. Simpson passed away, who's a Heisman Trophy winner, the Heisman Trophy Trust tweeted out like a notice that O.J. Simpson passed away. And people were like, wait, O.J., a lot of people think he murdered people. He could still have his Heisman Trophy when he was living, but Reggie Bush can't because his mother took some money in like an apartment. Now, I've always said this. When it comes to people doing wrong, and let's keep it in terms of money, not with OJ. I don't care if coaches cheat. I don't care if players take money or their families take money. I'm not saying it's right, but it doesn't take away from what they did on the field. And that's my problem with the Hall of Fame in Major League Baseball when they try to not put people like Barry Bonds in, which is steroids, and it's totally different than this. Or with the Heisman Trophy Trust that took away Reggie Bush's Heisman that they finally are giving him back to now. You're trying to erase history. It's like vacating wins in college basketball. Like Louisville didn't win a national championship a few years ago. Heck, I saw it. I don't understand when people try to vacate and take away things that happened in history. Finally, let me play a little Jaden McDaniels sound as the Timberwolves are up 2-0. And he was asked if there was any added pressure when Anthony Edwards said, hey, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. Listen up to Jaden McDaniels.
Not really. I mean, Ant know what he's talking about. So just, we love to compete. So it's just something for me just to kind of have a chip on my shoulder knowing that, like, I still got to go out here and show people that I can play defense, I can guard KD, and just I can score as well. So just being myself, really.
You know, a lot of us believe that it's going to be Celtics up against the Nuggets in the finals. There's not a team in the East right now that I think is going to take down Boston. You know, I think the Knicks could give you 6 or 7 good games, but they're not going to beat Boston. The Sixers aren't healthy. Milwaukee isn't healthy right now with Giannis Antetokounmpo now playing in that series tied up 1-1 against the Pacers. In the West, I think there's some teams you could buy stock in right now. Like Minnesota's a team you could buy stock in. You know, the Thunder, they're the 1 seed right now. How about Dallas with the dynamic duo with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving? That series is at 1-1. I still think Denver's going to get there. And I believe, and I've been saying this for the entire season, no one's going to beat Denver this year. But you have some fun potential matchups in the Western Conference. When the East, it's kind of, all right, none of us love Boston, but you think Boston's going to get there. Denver, you love them, but there's starting to be some serious challengers. And the personality of Anthony Edwards, man, I would love to see Minnesota get to the NBA Finals, but I do ultimately think it will be Denver. Okay, we'll take a timeout. We'll come on back. You will hear from Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. He is projected to be the first offensive lineman selected in the draft. He's selected to go in the top 10, and almost every mock draft you've read has him going to Tennessee. Coming on back, and this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All righty, hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft, P&G and Meijer are teaming up to host players in Detroit at the P&G Draft House presented by Meijer, where they'll be provided with essentials from trusted P&G brands like Tide to help them be ready for anything as they begin their pro careers. And tomorrow evening in Detroit, Joe Alt should be hearing his name very early in the NFL Draft out of Notre Dame, and he's kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Joe, first off, I know this is an exciting time for you. Congratulations on all your past success, and thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So here we are, getting set day before the draft. Just kind of take me through your emotions, as this is a long dream, right? It's in the family, obviously, with who your father has been on the gridiron, but now you're going to start your NFL journey tomorrow. Take me through how you're feeling right now.
Yeah. First and foremost, I'm very excited. It's a great opportunity, moving forward. It's my dream, like you said, to go on and play at the next level. I'm super fortunate to be put in this position and very grateful. But also, there's a little bit of nerves. I really don't have a strong feeling of where I'm going tomorrow. So it's going to be really exciting when I sit down and, get that phone call, because I really don't, know where I'm going to be headed. So getting that phone call will be something really exciting and really something exciting for my family.
I keep on thinking you're going to land in Tennessee. I feel like every mock draft that I've seen has Joe Alt going to Tennessee at 7. I see a little smile that comes across your face when I say that. I know you just said you don't know, but how does the meetings in the past go with Tennessee and their brass?
Yeah. The reason for the smile is my mom. My mom's the one always watching the mock drafts, and she keeps yelling out, "Joe, everyone wants to go to Tennessee." So that's why I give the smile. But my 30 visit with the Titans went really well. Got to sit down with both Coach Brian Callahan and Coach Bill Callahan, and Coach Brian Callahan kind of laid out the future for the team and what he sees and what the strengths are and where they need improvements and how he's going to go about doing that. And then with Coach Bill Callahan, he really gave me, how he teaches offensive line play. And it's very black and white. And I think that's a great way to, teach it for me. I have a better understanding of what the coach wants, how to improve, from practice to practice. So it was a great experience for me. And I was able to, learn a lot and then see the city afterwards. So I had a great time.
Through this process, everyone's going to make a case why one lineman should be the first lineman off the board compared to another. Since I have you here, let's just say, Joe Alt, that I'm an NFL GM and I'm looking to draft a lineman early in the draft tomorrow evening. Why should I take Joe Alt? What do you bring to my football team?
Yeah, I think you get an ultimate competitor. That's the first thing. I love football. I love the game. I love the idea of winning and, playing and competing to be the best each and every day. And through hard work, I think you accomplish that. And, within my game, the things I hold to myself and think I'm very good at is I have the ability to be athletic at my size and mirror guys and pass pro with my feet, but also having the length to keep guys outside of my body, be the first guy to strike them. And then in the run game, I have a very at the length, I have the ability to block second level defenders and stay in front of them with my athletic ability. So I think those are some of the things that I always, try to touch on when I'm talking to teams and, what I kind of sell myself on.
Obviously, being an offensive lineman is in your family, but I was reading when you were growing up and in high school, you played some quarterback, you played some linebacker, and even some tight end too. Take me through your journey as a football player. We all know what you've done at Notre Dame and how you're viewed as an offensive lineman, but take me through, Joe Alt, how you got from all those other positions to eventually the offensive line.
Yeah, my dad always wanted me to play multiple positions growing up. We kind of had a feeling for my body that it would end up being offensive line. So he wanted me to understand the game at a different level. At quarterback, you have to understand an entire defense. At linebacker, you have to know how to, run the defense. So eventually it'll help out with offensive line play, because that's where we kind of figured my body would go. But, all the way up till 10th grade, I played quarterback and inside linebacker. That's what I always played. And then ended up switching to tight end once I grew my junior year. And then my senior year, I played tight end as well and one game of tackle. And then as I got to Notre Dame, I kind of put more and more weight on and eventually slid into tackle. And that's where I've been playing since.
Give me the scouting report. What was Joe Alt like as a quarterback?
Joe Alt was a big quarterback. He was a heavy quarterback. We love the power sweep from Joe Alt quarterback. So we run all Pee-wee and just get out on the edge and use the stiff arm. That was my go-to. But kind of started slowing up a little bit as I got heavier, and it was kind of time to move to a different position, aka tight end with the growth spurt. So quarterback slowly got eaten out of.
Well, I heard you also say tight end too. How are your hands? Because tackle eligible in the NFL, my buddy Deion Dawkins, who I went to school with, he's caught a few touchdown passes. That'd be pretty neat if they run you on some of those tackle eligible plays.
Yeah, the tackle eligible plays are obviously very fun and a tackle's dream. We had one at Notre Dame last year, didn't end up running it. That's okay. But it's always like you're kind of waiting. You're like, is this the opportunity to get that one called? And, I'd be super cool. Obviously, love to catch a touchdown in the NFL. What a great honor and cool thing to do. But, my hands, I hope they're good. The only thing is I get worried when you start taping them and you get sweaty and they're not the sticky, they're not the sticky than with the leather. I'm like, I don't know if I really could catch as well with these leather slippery gloves as receiver gloves, but only one way to find out.
That's awesome. Hopefully they run a few of those plays for you in your rookie season. I want to ask you about your older brother, Mark Alt. who's played hockey professionally, obviously. Did you ever play any hockey growing up? And how much of a resource was your brother?
Yeah, I played hockey until second grade, and we hung it up. Like I said, my body wasn't really a hockey body. I was more on the thicker side, taller side. I ended up playing basketball, but my brother has been a huge resource for me and someone who really has allowed me to develop my mental side of the game. He playing hockey, the physical traits, there's a little bit of similarities with the physicality of the sports, but the mental side of the game is what I've learned from him the most. He had the ability to play 3 or 4 games a week, travel from site to site, playing some years, 80 plus games in a season, and being able to be mentally strong enough and tough enough to go out there and play at a high level every single night. Even when your body was sore, you didn't feel well, he went out there and, really taught me, a large respect for the game of hockey and respect for him and how hard he worked and how hard he trained and what he was able to, do in his career. It's, I have a lot of respect for him and what he was able to do.
Obviously, you have such a unique background because your father played for the Kansas City Chiefs and he's in their Hall of Fame. Your brother played professionally in hockey. Just what kind of sports fan wondering were you growing up as a kid, Joe Alt?
Oh, I watched all sports because I was a part of it. I was watching high school sports, watching my sister play basketball. Football was always it, though. That was the one that was like, all right, that's the special one, and that's the one I want to do when I'm older.
What do you take away from your time with Marcus Freeman? Just wondering the last 2 years at Notre Dame since he became the head coach.
Yeah, there's a bright future at Notre Dame with Coach Freeman. I mean, running it, that's for sure. He has the ability to develop relationships with players where you want to play for him and you want to earn his respect on the field, but then he has your back off the field and wants the best for you as both a football player and a person. So I think it's only looking up at Notre Dame with him, head coaching, and I'm, really appreciative of that friendship we've grown and how we've developed each other's relationships. And best of luck, and love watching what he's going to have to do these next couple of years.
Wrapping up with Joe Alt, who's going to hear his name called tomorrow evening, probably very early. I know we talked about Tennessee earlier. Any meetings with the Giants and the Chargers? Because just like your mother, I watch a lot of these mock drafts and I follow them religiously. And I start to see in the last 24 hours, well, maybe it could be the Giants. Maybe it could be the Chargers who are right in front of Tennessee, sitting there at 5-6.
Yeah, I actually had a 30 visit with the Jets and the Giants, so no Chargers, but was able to go and kind of see New York in 2 different realms. The Jets are a little bit further outside New York City, where the Giants are a little bit closer. Was able to see how they run their teams and learn from the offensive line coaches and head coaches what they had to offer and what they saw for their teams. So had great meetings with both those teams, learned a lot, and like I said, just excited to see what happens tomorrow night and where I'm heading.
Have you thought about maybe a quarterback or two that you think would be pretty damn cool if you were entering into their huddle coming up in the fall, and who would that be?
Yeah. I was obviously blessed with a great, handsome quarterback last year in Sam Hartman. That was obviously a lot of fun to protect for him. But now, obviously, to the next level in the NFL, any quarterback is a dream come true because I'm being able to participate in the thing that was my dream as a kid. So there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. You can name any of them, and I'd say I couldn't be more excited to protect for them. So I'm just excited to play at the next level.
I know that you said there's going to be a big surprise element to this, as you truly don't have an idea where you're going to go. When you get that phone call tomorrow night, what do you think is going to be going through your head when through all this speculation and people trying to pretend like they know where you're going to actually go when you finally find out who that team is and, okay, it's dream accomplished of being an NFL player? Just how do you kind of process those emotions probably if you have to look a day ahead?
Yeah, it starts with that split second of excitement. Obviously, that's what I dreamed of as a kid my entire life. But then I think the biggest thing I want to switch it to is gratitude. I have these people around me, my family, my close friends who have supported me, taught me what it is to be a man and to be a football player on and off the field. And I just want to show my sincere gratitude to all of them. And I wouldn't be in the spot I am without them, and how appreciative I am of their time and their support for me.
You got a good fit for tomorrow, or are you just going with something classy?
We're just going with something classy, nothing crazy. It'll be nice and simple, but I'll be comfortable and ready to look good, I guess.
Yeah, I want my offensive linemen comfortable. I don't need them all slagged out. We need them ready to go to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All righty, Joe. Tell me what you're doing today on behalf of Tide, P&G, and Meyer.
Yeah, I was able to partner with P&G and Meyer here. They have all the essentials I need going forward, moving into a new, bigger city, new team, all of that. They're really ready for anything. More specifically with Tide, I was always growing up a Tide kid. My mom I was always in my laundry tied up top of the laundry room and walking in there and seeing it and trying to pour it in myself and put way too much in. Who knows? Maybe I, damaged the floor one time or not. Who knows? But, that may have happened. But, Ty was always there to tackle any of my smelly, football jerseys, basketball jerseys. And then more recently with Meyer, going to Notre Dame and having Meyer in South Bend, I was able to grow respect for there and being able to, attend there. That was where I did my shopping at South Bend. So I got a little perks thing for any Meyer shoppers out there. They can use M Perks to save $15 on purchases of $50 or more P&G products through April 27th. So, that's what I'm doing here today. And it's something that I, really hold close to my heart and things that I've had throughout my life. So that's what I'm doing.
Let's say you could have a cheat meal and then you got to use some of that Tide because maybe you stain your shirt because you get too much food on the shirt and you got to wash it. What is the offensive lineman Joe Alt cheat meal if you're going out and having a big boy dinner?
Oh, I'm a true, just American, simple guy. I love a good cheeseburger, a brat, some French fries. That's kind of my go-to. You can get a nice mixture of that, ketchup, mustard, mayo. You can make them all taste a little bit different and just kind of go to town. That's always been my cheat meal. When you eat wings, you go ranch or blue cheese? Because that's been a big debate that I had. Oh, ranch. It's got to be ranch.
Oh, my God.
I'm Midwest. I am ranch to the core. Yes, ranch, always.
Well, yeah. Joe, I won't hold that against you. Really do appreciate your time, and good luck. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
No, we will hold it against him a little bit, if we're being honest. I appreciate Joe Alt coming on, but that's now 2 draft prospects. And this is how I do my scouting if they're going to be a successful pro or not. And I like Joe Alt, and you guys know me. I love Chris Jenkins. But when we were talking about ranch or blue cheese, both have said ranch, which is just crazy to me. The only time I like ranch is on a chicken bacon ranch slice of pizza. But I get wings. There's this one place that I go to in the city, which they have really good wings, but I don't go there as often as I would like to because you order blue cheese, and I can never tell if it's actually blue cheese or not. I always feel like it's ranch. So my friend last time we went there, he got ranch, I got blue cheese. We had no clue which was which. And I think that's just one of the great American pleasures, having a big wing and dunking it in like a mountain of blue cheese. So, Carlos, let me ask you this. You a ranch or a blue cheese guy?
Oh, blue cheese. Anybody who puts ranch on wings needs to go to jail.
Go to jail. I don't know if we need them to go to jail.
Ranch jail. The Schwartz Ranch jail.
Stu, you a ranch or a blue cheese guy?
I hate to disappoint you, Zach.
You're ranch?
I'm a ranch guy.
Jail.
I don't love blue cheese. I'll eat blue cheese, but I prefer ranch.
Jail. Send them now.
25.
Someone's getting demoted.
So you're saying there's an opening.
Congrats, Carlos.
Cheat meal, though. Because I think that's an important question to ask an offensive lineman. Because then you know if they're telling the truth or if they're lying. And they're like, oh, I want a salad. Or, oh, I'll take a piece of grilled chicken. They're just trying to give these teams the answers that they want. Carlos, cheat meal. It's a Saturday. You're hanging out. You're drinking a few beers. What's the cheat meal that you're going to?
I actually have to agree with Joe Alt, man. Give me the bacon cheeseburger. I don't need the brat, though. Bacon cheeseburger, waffle fries.
Ooh, well done waffle fries?
Is there any other way?
You got to get fries well done. Stu, what's your cheat meal?
I am 3 for 3 here. It's got to be some type of a burger that's just loaded with stuff and a ton of calories. Yeah,
I would say if I'm going for meat, I guess it would be a fat cheesesteak with onions and banana peppers. I think that'd be very good. I want Italian. I think I'm starting out with the calamari, and then I'm going to some fat, disgusting rigatoni alla vodka.
But that's not a cheat meal. I call those weeknights.
That's a fair point. That is a very fair point. All right, then I go wings. I got to just get a bunch of wings, get the hands dirty, give you the wet wipe afterwards, and then you'll be good to go. By the way, I saw in the YouTube chat, there is a new member in the YouTube chat, or someone just changed their name, to Perloff's Puck. And behind me, there has been this hockey puck that I'm now holding in my hand. And by the way, this hockey puck in my hand looks so small. This would be like if Shaq was holding a grape. So my guy, Brian, messaged me. You don't need to zoom. Oh, my God. We're getting really close and personal here on the Zoom. Stu, I think you're going like up my nostrils here with how much you zoomed in on this camera. But this hockey puck is not my hockey puck. It is actually Andrew Perloff's hockey puck, who, by the way, is going to be joining us tomorrow in studio. I don't know how we booked him. At 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, because Perloff and I are both draft nerds. He is, like, I am a draft nerd. He is a huge draft nerd. So we'll do a little cross-show promotion mañana. But this is Perloff's puck. And yes, I was with Perloff and Sully when they got this puck at the Knights Oilers game, where McDavid scored like a minute in, but then Las Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights did break their win streak, the Oilers win streak at the time. But how about the night of hockey last night? You had the Rangers survive in regulation against the Caps, the Panthers Lightning game with Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky. The save Bobrovsky made, I don't even know how still he made it, but then Carter Verhaeghe is like Mr. Big Game. 17 career playoff goals, 8 of those have been scored in the third period overtime. Last night did net the game winner. You had the Avalanche win 5-2, and the Predators beat the Canucks 4-1. So Panthers go up 2-0, Rangers go up 2-0. You have the Avalanche and the Jets all tied up at 1, Predators and the Canucks all tied up at 1. And then tonight, as you read the Perloff's puck, you have 2 teams, Vegas and Edmonton. The Golden Knights will be going up against the Stars. Golden Knights, the defending Stanley Cup champions, did take game 1. You have the Knights and the Oilers, as I know the NHL would love to see McDavid get to the Stanley Cup final this year, but the Oilers are up 1-0. You got the Bruins and the Maple Leafs, as you did have the Maple Leafs steal game 2, so that's 1-1 going to Toronto. But yes, this is Andrew Perloff's puck. It's not my puck. Sully's like Mr. Vegas, and we all know Sully was friends with Perloff before I was friends with Sully. So we were at the game together, awesome seats. And since Sully knows everyone in this arena, which is an awesome arena, I think it's called like T-Mobile Arena, they flipped Sully a puck, and Sully gave it to Perloff. So this is Perloff's puck, if anyone was wondering. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Bart Winkler is going to join us 20 minutes from now. Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. Go Tigers! He's going to stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time today. But when we come on back, we got to try to figure out what the heck Jerry Jones is saying.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Oops. Jerry Jones did it again. Another press conference. Another moment where I'm saying, huh? What's this guy trying to say? And just being lost and confused. My favorite Jerry Jones moment in a press conference, and I've said this before, is when he's talking about how you need a liberal arts degree over maybe what your master's degree is, because even though your master's degree is for like a higher level of education and it's a particular trait, things that you learn initially when you're at college where you get your first degree can help you if you're in a forest and you cut open your hand to try to patch your hand up together. And by the way, this was back in 2020 when he was trying to explain why that's why people should have confidence because of his past experience while they'll get a contract done with Dak Prescott. And the entire time, I was like, okay, it's 2020. You know, COVID was a big thing then. You know, people maybe be partying, taking some substances. I thought Jerry Jones was, let's be careful here. Don't want to get sued or anything. I thought Jerry Jones was on something, okay? But then I just realized that this is just how Jerry Jones is these days. Let's hear from Jerry Jones yesterday. Let's go from least crazy to the craziest. Let's hear Jerry Jones on the QB position. Listen up.
We want Dak Prescott. So that's that. And there's no question how he improved last year. And I give Mike a lot of the credit for it. That improvement demonstrated to me there's more as far as ultimately winning what we're trying to do here. So your question nails it for me. We want Dak, and we think that there's room for growth.
All right, so that's pretty sane, right? You say you want Dak even though you haven't got a new deal done with Dak, and Dak has the ability to pursue free agency this offseason because he has a no-tag clause in his contract, and they think that Dak could get even better, and they thought that he showed some of those signs this past year. All righty, that's fair. If that was just a press conference, we're not talking about this today. The only thing we'd be talking about is, well, why haven't you paid Dak Prescott yet? Well, Jerry Jones explained that. We'll get to that in just a second, but that's the craziest answer. Let's give you a medium-sized crazy answer here from Jerry Jones. This is Jerry Jones on picking 24th in the draft.
There's a very reason why we're 24th out of 32 teams draft that we get to pick a player this time, because we were the 24th best in the NFL according to the rules. And so we get to pick, everybody gets to pick before us up to 24.
If you were the 24th best team in the NFL, you would actually be picking 9th. I'm not great at math, but you would be picking 9th. You would have the 9th overall pick. Because, Jerry, they do the draft if you're great and you're like the best team in the NFL and you win the Super Bowl like Kansas City, you'd be picking 32nd. So let's just make that clear. Also, I find it insufferable how Jerry Jones, we know what he meant to say by that they're the 9th best team in the NFL, and that's why they're picking at 24th. Now we're handing out participation trophies for being a top 10 team in the NFL. You got to take a victory lap. Oh, yeah, well, it goes without being said, but hey, we're as he would say, the 24th best team in the NFL, so we got to make sure that we flaunt that. All righty. That's the build-up. Those are the pigs in the blankets. I first saw this last night in a tweet from EJ, Elijah Stewart, the producer of the Maggie and Perloff show. And I texted EJ on the side, and I said, is this real or is this AI? Because I didn't think you could sound this dumb at the podium. I thought this was someone that just typed things into a computer and they had it talk like Jerry Jones. So this is Jerry Jones talking about, I guess, the quarterback. I don't even know what he's talking about. Carlos, it's cut 3. Just play it.
You may be working on it and not moving anything but your eyebrows. Who in the world would think that we're not working on it? I work on it. It pops open at 2 a.m. sometimes. What your actually question is why don't you have something done and negotiated and put in the drawer? Well, we'd like to see some more leaves fall. We'd like to see some more action. It's called option. A lot of guys need to hand it off. First guy through the line. Another one will keep it another step, decide whether to pitch it or not. He'll decide whether to turn upfield with it, and then he's still got a pitch left.
Huh?
So it's called option quarterback. That's working the problem.
I'm speechless. So it seemed like in the beginning, he was asked, have they been working on Dak's contract? And was there a line where he said, sometimes you're working on it at 2 a.m. and it just pops up? Was that a Viagra read for Jerry Jones for a second? That's what I thought it was. And then he's like, you need options, and then went into a rant about an option quarterback? Oh, boy. You know what? That audio was so good, I need to hear it again. Go ahead.
You may be working on it and not moving anything but your eyebrows. Who in the world would think that we're not working on it? I work on it. It pops open at 2 a.m. sometimes. What your actually question is why don't you have something done and negotiated and put in the drawer?
Yes.
Well, we'd like to see some more leaves fall. We'd like to see some more action. It's called option. A lot of guys need to hand it off. First guy through the line. Another one will keep it another step, decide whether to pitch it or not. He'll decide whether to turn upfield with it, and then he's still got a pitch left. So it's called option quarterback. That's working the problem.
Oh, boy. So can I give you my serious football take from this? He contradicts himself. So do me a favor, Carlos. Play me once again, cut 1. This is Jerry Jones on the quarterback position. Play me that one.
We want Dak Prescott.
All right, you can stop right there. You want Dak Prescott. Now, when he was going back to the wild rant about the quarterback position, he basically said in that wild rambling that he likes what he's seen, but he's wanted to see more. Once again, play cut 3 one more time.
You may be working on it and not moving anything but your eyebrows. Who in the world would think that we're not working on it? I work on it. It pops open at 2 a.m. sometimes. What your actually question is why don't you have something done and negotiated and put in the drawer? Well, we'd like to see some more leaves fall. We'd like to see some more action.
Stop. You can
called
stop it
option.
there. You have seen enough from Dak Prescott to determine if you should give him the money or not. And if anything, Jerry Jones, it would have behooved you to get this deal done before free agency so you could have given him a long-term extension and then lowered his cap hit significantly this year instead of like the $4 or $5 million that you did. So the Cowboys are trying to tell you in one breath, Dak is our guy. And then in the next breath, then why have you given him a contract extension? We want to see more. That means you don't fully believe in him. Now, he may end up being your guy that gets a long-term extension because he's good, not great, and good quarterbacks get great quarterback money like we've seen before. And Dak Prescott has been through this messy situation with the Cowboys before, and he ended up getting a long-term lucrative extension. But if I'm Dak Prescott, I hear that bull junk and that incoherent rambling, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm out. At the end of the year, I have a no-tag clause. I could leave if I want to. I would leave because the Cowboys tell you he's a franchise quarterback. They've paid him like he's a franchise quarterback. But do they treat Dak Prescott like a franchise quarterback? Doesn't sound like that. Because now these are 2 contract negotiations where Jerry Jones has done some very entertaining rambling, but they keep on saying, yeah, he's our guy, and then moments later, oh, no, we need to see more. That'd be me like saying, hey, Carlos, you're my guy. And then a job opens up here, and I'm like, you know what? You may not be ready. I need to see more. Are you really my guy? I don't even want to hear what Carlos is secretly whispering behind the glass that I can't hear him right now. Wait, that happened? With me?
No comment. No comment.
That hasn't happened with me.
No, not with you, but no comment.
Oh, with other people. I don't want to get Carlos in any trouble here. So you know what we'll do? We'll take a break.
I love my job.
But I hate my life. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Sports Network, the Infinity Sports Network. Sorry. Brian Thomas is going to join us coming up at 5:20 p.m. Eastern. Bart Winkler on a Winkler Wednesday next. We'll see if I'll even be allowed back in the studio after this Infinity Sports Network update with Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, thank you, Zach. We're going to kick this one off with NFL news. Wide receiver Rashad Bateman will not be leaving Baltimore. Bateman reached a 2-year extension with the Ravens on Wednesday, which keeps the former first-round pick in Baltimore through the 2026 season. Wideout Amon-Ra St. Brown in Detroit, they have reportedly agreed on a 4-year, $120 million extension. The contract includes $77 million guaranteed. According to reports, the Steelers, they're not expected to pick up quarterback Justin Fields' $25 million fifth-year options. Fields will be entering the final year of his contract. However, he could still remain in Pittsburgh past this season if the team extends his deal. The NBA playoffs continue tonight. The Heat and Celtics will play Game 2 of their series in Boston, with the Celtics holding a 1-0 series lead. 7:10 p.m. Eastern tip-off for that one. Then later on, it's another Game 2 as the Thunder host the Pelicans. OKC won Game 1, 94-92. They will look to take a 2-0 series lead over New Orleans. And in hockey, the San Jose Sharks, they fired David Quinn after a season that saw San Jose finish with the second fewest points in the salary cap era. I'm Dexter Henry.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's an epic battle for the Infinity Sports Network. Zach.
Lethargic, putrid, pathetic. Quitters. They're quitters. What a joke.
Bart.
Something fun to talk about. That's what we do here. It's like, hey, guys, it's like we're just hanging out at a bar talking sports.
It's time for Winkler Wednesday. Only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Bart Winkler is the fantastic host of the Bart Winkler Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I'm laughing because Bart has a Bucks rally towel, I guess is what we will call it, for their postseason run. You could hear Bart Monday through Friday right here from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern time on many of these same stations. Also, Bart and JR linking up together to anchor CBS Infinity Sports Network's draft coverage. So I have to go find a quarter and put it in the mug that's somewhere behind me that I'm sure people have been using for the vending machine. Anyway, Bart Winkler, I'm trying to promote you, and you're messing up my show. So what's going on?
Well, great to be joining you here on the Infinity Sports Network.
How concerned are you? Bucks, I remember there was a time before you were a big-time national radio host. You did a very successful local morning show on 1250 The Fan in Milwaukee. And I brought you on when the Milwaukee Bucks were down 2-0 in the NBA Finals to the Suns. And you went out of your way to say that the Bucks were going to win that series in 6. This is now 1-1. You don't have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Pascal Siakam just kicked your ass last night. And Doc Rivers is still Doc Rivers. As this goes back to Indiana 1-1, will the Bucks win this series?
So I'm going to delay saying no, even though I'm a little bit worried. I think where I was at the beginning of the series and the playoffs was, for me as a Bucks guy, it just didn't feel the same kind of feeling that I had.
Yeah.
When I told you they were coming back to win. I don't have any feeling that like the Bucks are going to be playing basketball in June or even at the end of May. It's just been too weird of a season, and too much is trying to be accomplished at the same time. It's very hard. Then you have an injury, which is the third straight year that they have an injury, and it's a big one. It's Giannis, of course, who I think if he was in this series, they're up 2-0. Pascal Siakam, the Bucks are going to have to like dig into one of their rookies off the bench or something to find a guy that can stop this guy, because the only guy they have on the roster that can is Giannis, who is hurt. It doesn't sound optimistic that he's going to be back for Game 3. If that's the case, I'm not optimistic about the Bucks' chances. And then even if he comes back, it's going to be like with the Heat series last year, where it was too little, too late. This Pacers team, with all due respect to the many friends I've met in Indiana over the last 13 hours since I said something negative about their man, Tyrese Halliburton, online. It was just that I don't like him. I mean, God. And I don't like Tyrese Halliburton. Sorry.
You know what's interesting with Tyrese Halliburton?
I think that he won an in-season tournament quarterfinal, and he thinks he's the best player in the league.
You know what's crazy about him? How he has like two voices. He could be speaking in one pitch, and then it goes in a completely different pitch. I don't think we have that audio, but since you're talking about you taking a shot at Tyrese Halliburton, let me play you Tyrese Halliburton taking a shot at Bucks fans.
I'm expecting it to be unbelievable. No doubt about that. I mean, we've had regular season crowds better than what we've played in these last 2 games, so we expect a great crowd. A lot of people are excited about what's to come, in the series, and
just the energy in the city right now with everything that's going on, but especially with us. So, we're excited to go.
I wish I had a balloon right now, because he sounds like he's just sucking helium, like after 8 seconds into what he was saying. I forgot that was the clip that we had where he took I forgot he took the shot at Bucs fans because of the crazy voice change. And that's not the first time I've heard that. That's wild.
Okay, so a couple things there. One, I think it's an act. 2,
you don't think that's his actual voice, how he could change it like that?
That's an act.
That's kind of wild.
You don't have 2 voices.
I don't know.
He's the first guy in history to have 2 voices.
But is it kind of like Shep, who you work with, where he could get real quiet and soft-spoken, and then when he gets animated, he just gets really loud? Do you think it's like one of those things?
No, that's different tone.
Yeah, you're right. It's completely different.
This guy went from doing like a bad Shaq impression to a bad Patrick Mahomes impression. That's what he sounds like. It makes no sense.
It's kind of crazy. So you got a lot of heat on social media? You got a lot of heat on social media because you said you don't like Halliburton?
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem is, during a playoff run, on the national platform that I have been so blessed with.
Yeah.
I like to talk about things from a national point of view. On my online feed, I still feel like I am talking to a Wisconsin-based audience.
Sure.
I'm certainly not talking to Indiana fans, of which I found out there were more than I thought. And it's the same kind of retorts.
And by the way, we are on right now in Indianapolis, and I'm no longer on in Milwaukee. So as much as I used to be a sycophant for Milwaukee, and now I'm saying go Pacers. All right? So go Pacers. Bart's an idiot. Don't listen to him.
No. I'm good. I'm glad I'm talking to Indiana. I need to talk to Indiana real quick. This thing that you got with Tyrese Halliburton, talking up your crowd, I would be pumped if I'm an Indiana fan to hear that. Oh, he just crapped on a Milwaukee crowd in a state where he's from, clearly doesn't care, but he's going to hype us. Our crowd now is going to be more hyped up because of what he said. That's like a call to hype us up. But the problem is, your crowds, you have to prove it now, because the only reasons your crowds are whatever he thinks in his head is because in November, there was this made-up Fantasyland tournament that you took second place in, and so you guys bought into it because you haven't been relevant in 25 years, so then your crowds went a little more crazy, okay? So you have to match whatever fake energy you had for this fake tournament. Also, don't fall into the trap. There's smart basketball people in Indiana. Of course, what do we always hear about Indiana? It's the greatest place to play basketball. You're getting Caitlin Clark, the Hoosiers, Larry Bird, French Lick, all of this stuff. It's a great state for basketball. Outstanding state.
Pistons-Pacers rivalry.
Yeah, but have that kind of confidence. Have the confidence basketball is our thing.
Simon family, Reggie Miller, come on.
Yeah, this Pacers team, they don't have that. They have little brother, not even beat big brother. Little brother beat a different person. They have fifth grader gets bullied by his eighth grade brother and then beat the hell out of some kid in fourth grade energy. Yeah. This clapping thing they were doing last night and Bobby Portis's face. It's just you guys have won nothing yet. Just calm down. Tyrese Halliburton is probably, at this point in the series, no better than the 7th most important player so far in the series.
That's a take.
So just relax. Okay. Siakam is going to continue to destroy the Bucks without Giannis. Celebrate then. I'd say act like you've been there before, but it's been a long time since you've been there before.
Man, your mentions must have been really crazy. I've never heard you get this animated before. You seem
I'm just trying to I want to enlighten people. You got some of these people who the show starts, right? My show starts and it says, live in Milwaukee, he's Bart Winkler. And then people are rushing to call Bart talks too much Milwaukee. Brother, all you heard was the opening. Relax. I'm talking Lakers and Cowboys and Duke and Yankees as much as every other schmuck on the radio. It's all good.
thought you were about to curse there for a second. Hey, by the way.
I wanted to.
Two
Your
things.
show. I don't care.
Reggie Bush. I'm glad he got his Heisman back. I find it weird to talk about it, though, because for years we were all bitching about him not having his Heisman. Now he gets it, and it's like, okay, now we need to move on to something else. Like, I don't think there's a take to have today with Reggie Bush outside of it was so stupid that the NCAA and the Heisman for all these years kept it away from him, and the Heisman Trust was like, all right, bleep the NCAA, we're just going to give it back to him.
I didn't either, and it's kind of like the Pete Rose thing. Like, if Pete Rose gets into the Hall of Fame, that's going to be a bad day for sports talk. But I think I found a take on the Reggie thing.
Okay.
I'm not just happy for Reggie, like, to get the award back. I'm happy that he's included again back into that family.
True.
Like, he's back in the Heisman house. Okay? He's back at the awards ceremony. When they gave him this trophy, there were like 15 other Heisman winners there, and like, they're excited. They finally feel like they're whole again.
And I'm assuming he goes to the ceremony this year. That's going to be a big time and well-deserved standing ovation when they reintroduce
It's
it.
not just the NIL stuff now. It's like, I was watching a show, Notre Dame Packer legend Aaron Taylor.
Okay, yeah.
He was talking about the draft, and he goes, now that these guys can legally take money instead of under the table like I did, and everyone just laughs. And it's like, everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
And Reggie's the one
here's
guy
the
that
thing,
gets penalized.
It's also, with what happened, you could say, his family broke a rule, he broke a rule, whatever. It doesn't erase what we saw in the field. So, I don't like Jim Boeheim, for example. But the fact that he got wins taken away was stupid.
You can't take away. It happened. The things happened.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take it away. You can't vacate titles. Then who won? Nobody won this year? You played all these games and nobody won? No, you played. Somebody won.
And I'm a Heisman Trophy voter, but I was annoyed.
I've heard. Oh my God, have I heard?
I was annoyed with the Heisman Trophy Trust that they kept on saying, "Oh, it's the NCAA's issue." I'm like, no, you could give him back the trophy if you wanted to, and I'm glad that they did. All right, I got 30 seconds. What's your biggest NFL draft take as we get set for this big draft show that you're hosting tomorrow?
I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to have a better career than where he's going to get drafted. And I totally think that J.J. McCarthy, all this hype, was a master move by Jim Harbaugh to make somebody trade up to go to number 4 so that he can get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5.
So he could get, okay, I could see that. That's actually a very good take. A very good take. I do think, though, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to go 4. I think it's going to be quarterback, 1, 2, 3. Chargers could trade out, or they'll end up taking Malik Neighbors. That's what I think is going to end.
Well, Harbaugh's trying his best. That's all I know.
Yeah. Now, how about Schefter today on ESPN? They're not trading Justin Herbert. No crap. We all know that, but hey.
Oh, geez, I got a new lead for tonight.
Yeah. He is Bart Winkler, the host of the Bart Winkler Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Bart, thank you. Pacers and how many? 6? I think you said 6. Pacers and 6? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, probably.
Man, that is a demoralized Bart Winkler. If you're listening to us in Indianapolis, make sure you tweet him. Make sure you go after him. He just came after your guy Halliburton. Coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
And away we go, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll do some more NFL draft conversation coming up in a few moments. Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. Go Tigers. He's going to stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific today, so 20 minutes from now. Real quickly, I want to talk about the Phoenix Suns. So this team is down 2-0 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We saw what McDaniels did last night. The whole Timberwolves team, they win 105-93. I feel like Phoenix, when it comes to the Suns, has not got properly blasted. Right? Like, you have Kevin Durant, you got Devin Booker. Bradley Beal looks like he's donezo, but he's always like an injury problem. And not that anyone thought that this team was going to be great. And I feel like the luster of Kevin Durant has kind of worn off a little bit with what happened in Brooklyn. But this Suns team, like, it's one thing to be a 6th seed in the regular season, right? Because there's some teams in the NBA where you look at them, you're like, all right, just be healthy come playoff time and anything could happen. But they got no depth on this team. And, like, Minnesota is better, but it doesn't even look like this is going to be a series. And that's the crazy part. And the conversation is really Kevin Durant. Because it was in this offseason, or maybe it was earlier in the season, where Kevin Durant's like, I don't understand why I'm not included in the GOAT debates. And I'm like, GOAT debates? For Kevin Durant? Like, I understand we all have to be our biggest cheerleader. And there's ego involved. But no one's looking at Kevin Durant and saying he's the greatest basketball player of all time. And don't get me wrong, he is an all-time great. He is a great basketball player. But there's a difference when you look at, let's say, Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant. Or LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Or if you want to go, like, even guys that aren't considered the greatest of all time, but a top 10 player of all time, I'd rather be Tim Duncan over KD. I'd rather be Kobe Bryant, the late, great Kobe Bryant over KD. Shaquille O'Neal, obviously, over KD. Like, when you start to get to guys that are like 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. And here's my issue with Kevin Durant. As great as he's been, you kind of want to know how I'm going to think about Kevin Durant, let's say 15 years from now, if he never wins another championship. Charles Barkley was right. I hate to say it because I was not anti-KD. Like, I was one of the few people that defended him when he left OKC to go to Golden State. I didn't really have a problem with it. He won the 2 championships in Golden State. But the problem with KD is he made a move that made him the villain, and he didn't have the toughness to handle being the villain. Because then he's fighting with Draymond Green, and I know Draymond could be crazy. And then he said, okay, I need to leave a great situation and go to Brooklyn, and you pick Kyrie Irving as your running partner. And when Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant were on the same team, that could have worked. But Kyrie wasn't doing the right things, and Kevin Durant didn't have it in him to tell Kyrie to shut up. They should have picked at the time, even though Kyrie Irving's the better player, James Harden over Kyrie Irving. Should have. And look, Kyrie's now behaving in Dallas. And Luka and Kyrie, I don't know if they're going to get to a championship, but they have a shot to do something this year. So Kevin Durant ran away from Brooklyn, and then he goes to Phoenix, and you latch on to another star in Devin Booker. You're able to get Bradley Beal, but it's not going to lead to a championship. And it kind of does feel like what Barkley said's right. And you could be a great player, and even though the Warriors, he was the best player on that team, and he made some big shots, obviously, and the MVPs, the final MVPs, but we all knew that was Steph's team, right? Because Steph won before Durant was there, he won while Durant was there, and he won after Durant was there. Like, you look back, I mentioned some of the players that are better than Durant. Like, from a talent perspective, KD may be better than Steph Curry, but I'd much rather have the career of Steph Curry than Kevin Durant. It's not even close. Because here's what Steph Curry's going to be remembered for. 3-point shooting. And changing the game that way. And those crazy 3-point distance length shots. Well beyond the arc. For Durant, we all know he's great. But in OKC, they didn't get the job done. You blew that 3-1 lead, then you jump ship, and you go to Golden State. You should have just embraced being the villain. Because if he would have went on, let's say, win 3 more championships in Golden State, or even 2 more, eventually we just get fatigued with having to say, oh, well, he took the easy road out. When you keep on winning championships and you keep on winning finals MVPs, give the middle finger to somebody, and I don't give a bleep what you say. But for Durant, he had to go to Brooklyn, And it's crazy. The most he probably ever got praised in the postseason, because when he won it in Golden State, it was like, so what? I didn't feel that way, but a lot of people felt that way. But the most universal praise he got in the postseason when he was in Brooklyn and they lost in 7 games to the Bucks, and Harden was playing on one leg, Kyrie was out, and he almost single-handedly led that team to a championship. So it's like, for Durant, then you go to Phoenix, he's not going to win a championship there. And I don't think he's going to ever win a championship again. And it's a complicated legacy, because we could all acknowledge he is so unique. He is awesome on a basketball court. He is a fantastic, sensational player. But you look back at his career and it's like, he kind of annoyed at Durant. And I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but you look back at his legacy and you're like, yeah, he's a great player. But what Barkley kind of said, who never won a championship, is right. And look how annoyed he got with Barkley for saying that. Well, guess what? Chuck was right. Because it would have been better if he stayed in OKC for 15, 20 years and never won. It would have been better that way. Like, look at Damian Lillard was in Portland. We all looked at Damian Lillard and said, oh, he's great. But you go to Golden State, you win those 2 championships, you made the villain move. You should have just kept on being a villain. You should have never, ever, ever left Golden State. And once you leave Golden State, you needed to make sure that was your team in Brooklyn. And for the most part, it was, but you also allowed it to be Kyrie's team. And you didn't remember at the end of the day, it's your team over Kyrie's team. And you were the one person in that organization that could have seriously got rid of Kyrie and still had a championship window for you in Brooklyn. But then the whole thing went poof right up in the air. And you thought you got an upgrade in going to Phoenix. And sure, you're still in the playoffs. The Nets aren't. But you're not winning a championship in Phoenix either. So the Durant legacy, we're all going to say great, but we're also going to be like, the championships that he won, you kind of look at them a bit sideways. And that's not for everyone with the Warriors. Like, no one's going to look at Steph and be like, oh, well, we don't count 2 of the championships that Steph won because Steph won before and Steph won after. But for KD, if he would have won 4 or 5 all in Golden State, yeah, some people, a minority of people, I think, would have been like, oh, well, it was so lame how he did it. But when you win those championships, you have to ultimately respect them. Like, look at LeBron, for example, went to Miami. His most important championship, the most important one by far and away, Cleveland. And then after that, it's Los Angeles. And then it's the 2 in Miami. But no one looks at the 2 in Miami and be like, oh, LeBron took the easy road out, because he did it in other spots. And yes, LeBron, just like KD, he was the best player on that team, but the team he went to, it wasn't his team. Those were Dwayne Wade's team. And just like how the Warriors, it was Steph's team. But LeBron, for 4 years, gave the I don't give a bleep what you have to say. And he ended up winning 2 championships. And whether he wants to say it or not, the reason LeBron left was Pat Riley. And the reason why Kevin Durant left, I think it was Twitter. When people were like, oh, those are cheap championships. You could all say it was Draymond in that fight in that kerfuffle. Come on. He couldn't stay off Twitter, and he was seeing all these tweets, and it got to him. It's a shame. But for Durant, I don't think, you always look at him as an all-time great, top 20 player of all time. Probably even top 15 of all time. But when you get into the greats, there's a difference when you're an all-time great, and then you're an all-time great. When we talk about the top 8 to 10 players of all time, KD may be one of them, but I don't think he's going to be included on those lists. Because there's so many. Yeah. I could sit LeBron, MJ, in no order, to be clear. Kareem, Wilt. It's you have Tim Duncan, you got Kobe, you got Shaq. You just keep on going on and on and on and on and on. And right there, just off the top of my head, it was 7 or 8. And there's 2 others that you can name before you get to Durant. So Durant, it's almost like he's in the country club, right? And you know you're pretty damn rich to be in the country club, but there's different hierarchies in the country club. And you know there's some people that are rich in the country club, and then it's like, oh, that's stupid rich. He's at the rich table in the country club. He ain't at the stupid rich table in the country club. There's a different level to that. Durant thinks he's at that table, but he's not. And the way that Durant gets to that table is by winning a championship outside of Golden State. And he couldn't get it done in Brooklyn, and no one thinks he's going to get it done now with the Phoenix Suns. By the way, when we look at the top 10 of the draft, who are the teams that you think can go from being in the top 10 of the draft that comes your way tomorrow evening to then into the playoffs next year? The Bears, I think, could be one of those teams. Now, the NFC is loaded. Actually, the NFC is open, where the AFC is loaded. So that plays a factor into it. But last year, we saw what 2 picks in the top 10 could do to a franchise. And the Bears have had a good offseason. They already DJ Moore. They get Keenan Allen. You get a running back. And, you made some trades the last few years that have been beneficial. But now you're getting your quarterback, and then you could also be getting a wide receiver or a defensive player at 9. I don't think it's crazy to say the Bears could go 9-8 next season and make the playoffs. I don't think the Chargers make the playoffs next year, but they will vastly improve. You have Herbert. If they take a wide receiver at 5, that's a team that could make a jump. But I think because of the logjam in the AFC, they'll be on the outside looking in. The Jets should be a playoff team next year with Aaron Rodgers. They have a heck of a roster. Could take another wide receiver, could get Brock Bowers with the 10th overall pick. The Falcons, they should easily win that division next year. And I know a lot of people think the Falcons would take defensive player. I kind of hope the Falcons take a wide receiver sitting at 8 of the draft. And then a team that you need to monitor. What about the Arizona Cardinals at 4? They played tough last year for Gannon. They didn't have Murray for most of the season. You'll have Murray to start the season. They were a playoff team, right? A few years ago, they would always start strong, but then they would have terrible finishes with Cliff Kingsbury. And there's a good chance they could get Marvin Harrison Jr. So out of the teams that are picking in the top 10, if I had to order them, most likely to make the playoffs next year, and just out of the teams that I've mentioned, the Bears, the Chargers, the Jets, the Falcons, and the Cardinals, I would say the Falcons are 1 because their division is terrible. I would then say the Jets are 2. I would go the Bears 3, the Cardinals 4, and then the Chargers 5. Now, the Chargers have the quarterback in Herbert. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a jump this year, and it's going to take a year from now for that team to maybe go challenge in the AFC because there's a lot of rebuilding that they need to do on that roster. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. When we come on back, man, we've been talking a lot about LSU because of Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. But Brian Thomas Jr. should also be going in the top 15 of this draft. A lot of people have him pegged as the 4th best wide receiver in this draft. He had a monster season this past year in Baton Rouge, and he's going to join us when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, getting set for the NFL Draft tomorrow evening. Brian Thomas Jr. had a sensational season this past year for LSU with 68 receptions, nearly 1,200 receiving yards, and 17 touchdowns. And just a reminder, ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft, P&G is providing players with essentials from trusted P&G brands like Head & Shoulders to help them be ready for anything as they begin their pro careers. Brian Thomas Jr., appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. And how you been?
I've been pretty good. How you been?
I've been fantastic. Obviously, you guys had an incredible offense this past season. You know, we all know what Malik Nabers has done. We know that Jaden Daniels did win the Heisman. But for you individually, how do you explain your big breakout season when you really put it all together year 3 at LSU?
Man, it started all in the spring. Just wanted to come out and work hard, work harder than I ever had. And, just pray that hope that when the season comes around, you'll be able to go out there and give it your all and do good.
I think some people look at it from afar and they'll be like, well, why wasn't he like that in his first 2 seasons as you produced in your 3rd season? When teams ask you that, what kind of answer do you give on them why what you saw this past year will continue in the NFL?
Just opportunity, being able to go out there and show what I can do. Just being able to be out there and get having a great quarterback that was able to give me a chance to go out there and show what I can do. So I would just say opportunity.
If someone's never seen you play, just wondering, how do you kind of describe your game to someone if they'd never watched Brian Thomas Jr. on the Saturdays in the fall, the last few seasons for LSU?
Aggressive. Gonna go out there, try to make every play that he can, and go out there, give it his all. And when the opportunity comes his way, he's gonna go out there and make the play. Yes, sir.
Brian Thomas Jr. here with us. He's going to hear his name called tomorrow evening for the first round of the NFL draft. Everyone talks about the best wide receivers in this draft class. They say Marvin Harrison Jr., they say Rome Odunze, and obviously Malik Nabers, who you played with. Do you feel like you should be in that grouping? Because everyone, it seems like, acknowledges you're probably the fourth best wide receiver in this draft class.
Yes, sir. In my opinion, I feel like I'm the best. So yes, sir. I would say I feel like I should be mentioned in that category.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you've been disrespected a little bit in this draft process. Like I've seen your name pop up from time in the top 10. Definitely going in the top 20. But it just seems like there's such a distinction from those three to you. Do you feel like you've been disrespected a little bit in this process, or not really?
Yes, sir. But I mean, everybody has their own opinion or whatever. So, I mean, I don't really get into that, but I try not to even, let it faze me or anything. But, I mean, yeah.
Talking to Brian Thomas Jr. right now. Your wide receiver room, LSU, they always put great wide receivers in the NFL. But how about the competition, the friendly competition between you and Malik, just being able to be in that same wide receiving room, probably challenging one another?
Yeah, I mean, we both competitors. We both go out there every day and compete. So, I mean, yeah, that's a little competition between us. But it's, like you said, a friendly competition. Just both want the best for each other. Both push each other to go out there and be the best that we can be each and every day. Yes, sir.
What were you able to maybe take away from him? What were you able to learn? How did he make you better outside of the competition, just having someone that had similar goals and you guys are in the same stage of life competing together in college?
Mm-hmm. Like I said, we push each other each and every day. So I mean that just helps us get better. Helps both of us get better individually. So just us being able to be competitive how we were, and I would say that pushed us to be on a whole different level. Yes, sir.
How was Jaden Daniels? Just wondering, as a teammate.
He was a great teammate, great leader. Just being able to help lead us as an offense, help lead us as a team, really, the whole team. So I would say he was a great player and also a great leader.
When was the moment that you knew, okay, this guy could be great? Because no one knew what he was going to be when he walked into LSU coming over from Arizona State. And people forget he was pretty damn good 2 years ago, but then this year he just took it to a whole different level.
Yeah, we would always see it at practice. Just seeing the throws and stuff that he was making, just seeing the things that he can do at practice. So I would say we always seen that in him. Yes, sir.
So who are some quarterbacks, just wondering, that you would love to play with at the next level?
I mean, I'm blessed to play with any and every quarterback there is. I mean, I don't have a specific that I would, so I would say all of them, really.
Yeah, I've been saying this now for months. Buffalo needs a wide receiver. I think Buffalo's going to trade up. I could see you and Josh Allen being a pretty good connection. What would your reaction be if you ended up going to the Buffalo Bills?
Like I said, I'm blessed to be in this position, blessed to even have an opportunity to be able to play football. So, I mean, I'm like I said, blessed and happy to be a part of any team, whether it's whoever. So like I said, I'm just blessed.
Do you have an idea on where you're going, maybe? Where you're going to get drafted?
No, sir. No clue at all.
Where have the good meetings, though, been? Just wondering. Like have you had some good meetings with some teams? And who are those teams that you're like, okay, those were really good meetings?
All of my meetings have been pretty good. I would say all of them. I wouldn't say there's one that stuck out more than another. I would say they've all been pretty good. All been pretty smooth.
Gotcha. Before we let you run, and obviously we'll talk about P&G in just a second. But for you, what kind of football fan were you growing up? Like, who were some players that you liked growing up as a kid?
Growing up, my favorite team, my favorite quarterback was Aaron Rodgers. I used to like Julio Jones a lot, too. So I would say those are my top two.
Man, the Jets have that pick at 10, man. That would be something. Could you imagine, going into a locker room and Aaron Rodgers your quarterback? I know that you'd be happy to go anywhere, but that'd be pretty special for you, right?
Yes, sir. It would be nice. It would be crazy. To knowing it's like that was their favorite player growing up or whatever, being able to be in the same locker room with him. Yes, sir.
All righty. Before we let you run here, Brian Thomas Jr., I appreciate the conversation. Tell me what you're doing today and what you got cooking up with P&G.
Like you said, going to a new team, new city. PNG, I feel like they have all the essentials to help me stay ready for anything. And just, during the season, wearing a helmet all the time, got to make sure I keep my scalp clean. And PNG will have me ready, head and shoulders, will have me ready for a draft day, have my hair looking fresh.
It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it. Hey, by the way, when it happens, when you see Jaden Daniels get drafted, when you see Malik Neighbors get drafted and you hear your name called, I know Brian Kelly's going to be out there, your football coach too. Just what do you think that's going to mean for you three guys who have shared a lot of reps and a lot of time in practice? I'll hear your name called pretty early tomorrow evening.
It'll be a great feeling, just knowing how hard they work, knowing how much this means to them. It'll just be a great feeling to hear all our names called and just be able to go up there and do everything that we dreamed of. So, yes, sir.
Well, Brian, hey, good luck to you. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yep, thank you.
You got it. There he is, Brian Thomas Jr. joining us from LSU. Man, what an offense they had this past year inside the SEC. We know defensively they did have some problems, but offensively, you have Jaden Daniels who wins the Heisman. You got Malik Neighbors, and then you got Brian Thomas Jr. as well. And for the three of those guys, it's like we all know that at number 2, it's going to be Jaden Daniels. Like everyone at this rate, I think would be shocked if he isn't the second overall pick. It's been peculiar, the coverage of Drake May. And like I say this with being someone that hasn't been as optimistic as Drake May, but throughout the entire season, it was, for the most part, it was Caleb Williams and it was a Drake May. That was a conversation. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, even going back to last year and then into this year. And then, I remember talking to Jaden Daniels at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and it was someone was on with McAfee, Pat McAfee, and I think it was Herb Street. And they said about Jaden Daniels, as he's about to win the Heisman, someone's going to get a heck of a player, and he may not go. He should probably go a lot earlier than what people would think after you win a Heisman Trophy. And I was thinking, okay, maybe he'll be there at like 10. Maybe he'll be there at like 11 or 12. And then in this process, boom, it hasn't even been close. It's been Williams 1 and Jaden Daniels 2. And I look at Jaden Daniels, he's ready to go now. Like Drake May, I think, could use a sit year. Drake May is also super duper athletic, but I think there's that factor when the comparison is Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen got it humming in the league. But then the wrong side of Josh Allen is a Carson Wentz. Big built, athletic. Wentz had that one MVP season, but then he was a disaster after that. So I think that's the fear with Drake May. For Jaden Daniels, he has elite speed. He could go on out there and rush for you don't have to do that in the NFL, but in college he ran for 1,100 yards. And then threw for 40 passing touchdowns. And, earlier we had Dallas Turner. And, that's a proud Alabama defense. And he was like, threw for 300 against us, and then he ran for 200. He's like, enough said. He put his hands up. He was like, drop the mic. That's all you got to say. So you look at these LSU guys. Daniel's going to go 2 to the Commanders. I feel like Malik Neighbors is either going to go 5 or 6. Where if the Chargers keep the pick, I think they take Malik Neighbors because you'll end up having Marvin Harrison Jr. go 4. I don't believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. won't be the first receiver taken. Some people do think, though, that that's a possibility. And then for Brian Thomas Jr., I would say the earliest he could go, maybe 9, if no defensive players go in the first round, and let's say Atlanta takes Rome Odunze, maybe Chicago takes him at 9, maybe the Jets take him at 10. But you're probably looking after that in a team that says, okay, we know who the 1, 2, and 3 wide receivers are, and then maybe trading up. Like if he's still on the board at 15 or 16, I'll be surprised. Because I think someone, like you look at 11, the Vikings don't need a wide receiver. The Broncos could use a wide receiver. The Raiders. Now, Stu, would you want your team, like the Raiders don't have a quarterback. Now, you have Gardner Minshew, you got Aiden O'Connell, but you don't have a franchise quarterback. If the Raiders say we're going to wait on getting a quarterback, I know you have Devontae Adams, but there's that prevailing thought that maybe Devontae Adams only there for 1 more year and he tries to force himself out after this season. Would you want a wide receiver? at 13? Like what? If I say you're not drafting a quarterback, what's the position that Stu wants for his Raiders?
I wouldn't be mad if they went receiver, but I think there are other needs. Like I think offensive line would be something I would probably target, or secondary. Yeah. I've also seen mock drafts having them taking pass rushers, which I mean
that could be needed.
They need everything, I guess. Is pretty much the one thing.
You got Max Crosby at least.
Yeah, but they I don't know. They need a lot of things. I don't think receiver is near the top of that list.
It's like I look at the Raiders. They have a good leader, Antonio Pierce. They got Max Crosby. They signed Christian Wilkins, who's a stud, athletic stud in the defensive line. All right, you got Devontae Adams. You lost Josh Jacobs. Like, after that, who's the next? Let me ask you this. On the Raiders, I say you take Crosby out. You take Christian Wilkins out. You take Devontae Adams out. Who's the next best player on the Raiders?
That is...
And you watch every Raiders game, and you're a huge Raiders fan.
That's a great question. I mean...
You don't have Jacobs there anymore because he's with the Packers.
Yeah.
It's like, who's the guy?
It might be Colton Miller on the offensive line.
Okay.
He's pretty good. It honestly might be Daniel Carlson, the kicker, or AJ Cole, the punter, which isn't saying a lot.
That's not good.
Those guys are Pro Bowl caliber at their positions.
Wasn't Robert Spillane supposed to be like the face of that organization, according to Antonio Pierce?
Yeah, he got him. I mean, they don't have a lot of star power. They have a few stars that's at the very top, but after that, it's very thin.
I think that the Raiders should just take the best player available. And if that's Brian Thomas Jr., then it's him. But, the Saints, I know they have Olave. They could use another wide receiver because, what are we, relying on Michael Thomas to be there each and every year? It's like you look around, the Colts at 15. I know they have Michael Pittman Jr. They could use another wide receiver for Anthony Richardson. I don't think Brian Thomas Jr. makes it past 15. And, there's been years where we see teams trade up for wide receivers because it used to be, and it still is, the quarterback's the most important position, and then left tackle. Like, if there are, tackles in the draft always fly off the board. But now these wide receivers are making such crazy money. Like, my team doesn't have a number one wide receiver. Look how many teams have two wide receivers that could be number one wide receivers. It's like, look at Seattle. I know that's not the first example of people. They have Tyler Lockett and they got DK Metcalf. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch. You go around the league, Cincinnati. You have T. Higgins and obviously Jamar Chase one. San Francisco, you got Debo and Brandon Aiyuk. Miami, the Eagles. Look at the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Miami with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So in an offensive-driven league where it's throw, pass, you got to kind of, you may not be able to pay both them long term. Some teams can, some teams don't. But you need that 1-2 punch at wide receiver. That's why I started the show. I know Dexter Henry's wearing a Steelers hat. He's a big Steelers fan. I know you guys don't have Deontay Johnson. He was a number one wide receiver anyway. But you have George Pickens, who George Pickens can be a stud in the NFL if he just makes sure, he keeps his head on straight.
Yeah.
But I look at the Steelers, you hear about, now T. Higgins, they will never trade him. The Bengals will never trade him to the Steelers. But a Brandon Aiyuk, I don't know if you have to give up a first-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk, but a second-round pick, I would even give up at pick 20 for Brandon Aiyuk. Who are you drafting at 20 that's going to be better than Brandon Aiyuk?
Steelers got a needed center. I know that. And also, they could probably shore up the offensive line. I would, look, if you believe in the quarterbacks they have, I wouldn't mind that pick at all. Yeah. I wouldn't mind making that trade. I wouldn't mind making that trade at all for Brandon Aiyuk. You said give up a second. Would I do it?
Second, yeah.
Especially you didn't have to give up much for Justin Fields. Yeah, I'd do it.
And also, here's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
We go crazy over these draft picks. We treat these draft picks like they are the golden ticket to go see Willy Wonka. Look how many freaking quarterbacks teams miss on. Yet in the Trevor Lawrence draft class, Trey Lance, new team. Zach Wilson, new team. Mac Jones, a new team. When you get out of the top 15, I'm okay with giving a first-round pick for a proven commodity. And Brandon Aiyuk is a proven commodity.
Let me ask you this, because I know you're a big draft guy.
Yeah.
When you say that, do you feel like the NFL draft is a crapshoot?
Yeah, no one knows what they're talking about.
I happen to agree. I happen to agree.
Like, people bring me on these shows. Hey, you brought me on your show on SNY, the New York Post. I appreciate that. I go on to Miami, WFNZ. They're like, oh, you're a great draft guy. I am. Why? Because I give an opinion and we talk about the first 10 picks. I'm not like Peter Schrager doing 7-round mock drafts. I like the draft. I enjoy the draft. But look at last year. Will Levis. Oh, he could be the second pick. I'm like, when did Will Levis ever look like he was going to be the second pick in the draft in college? That's my biggest gripe with the draft.
Well, that happens. What's the question I asked you when you came on my show? It was the quarterback I asked you about, J.J. McCarthy, right? Because his stock was going up and everybody's been talking about it.
And he's going to go in the first 6 picks. I'd be surprised if he doesn't go in the first 6 picks. Do I think he should?
Yes, we talked about that.
That's a different conversation, though.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a matter of fit for him where he could go, right? A lot of people talk about him going to the Vikings. I could see that.
He needs to go to the Vikings.
Yeah, but that's the part I think we don't talk about enough.
The Vikings are the desperate person at the bar. They're trying to go home with someone right now. They're buying you a few drinks. They got 2 first-round picks, but is someone else going to tangle with them? And they need the Cardinals or the Chargers to tangle with them, or even the Patriots. If not, the Giants are going to take a quarterback at 6 if one of those 4 are still available.
And you brought that up when you came on my show. We were talking about, is that a good fit? We believe fit matters. I think that matters more than people think. Just all the talent that we talk about, and everybody talks about everything in the draft, but the fit matters a ton.
And here's another wide receiving deal I was talking about earlier. And it just shows you how much of a crapshoot it is. The Rams. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua had one of the greatest rookie seasons you'll ever see. The only reason no one says that is because of what C.J. Stroud just did this past year. So the whole thing's a crapshoot. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, 199 overall. I know the Patriots kept him on the roster. They had no clue what they were getting back then. And, like, Stu, sorry to bring up a Raider, but, like, Robert Gallery. Oh, can't miss, was going to be a stud. He stunk. It happens all the time. And there's guys I fall in love with that end up being great.
Yeah.
There's also guys you fall in love with that end up stinking in the NFL. It just happens. So we all think we know what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, Dexter Henry, I'm a talk show host that can be comfortable within my own skin and say, quite frankly, none of us know what we're talking about.
I respect that. I respect it.
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Here is the latest Infinity Sports Network update. It is Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All righty, Zach, we're going to start off by checking out the Major League Baseball scoreboard. And right now, top of the 7th inning, the Mets in the Bay, 6-0 lead over the Giants. Top of the 6th, the Orioles with a 2-0 lead over the Angels. That one out in Anaheim. Earlier in the Lou, the Cardinals got 6 effective innings from Kyle Gibson, and Lars Nootbaar drove in 2 runs as they dropped the Diamondbacks 5-1 in the final finale of their 3-game series. For St. Louis, it was their first win in the series finale this season. Coming up, just past the top of the hour, the Guardians will go for their 6th straight victory as they host the Red Sox. Over to the association, the NBA playoffs continue tonight with a pair of Game 2s. The Heat and Celtics will play Game 2 of their series in Boston, with the Celtics holding a 1-0 series lead after beating the Heat by 20 points in Game 1. 7:10 p.m. Eastern tip-off. Later, it's another Game 2 as the Thunder host the Pelicans. OKC won Game 1 94-92. They'll look to take a 2-0 series lead over New Orleans. 9:40 Eastern tip for that game. NFL news, the Bears, they unveiled a nearly $5 billion proposal today for an enclosed stadium next door to their current home at Soldier Field, and they're asking for public funding to help make it happen. I'm Dexter Henry.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X and like us on Facebook. Our handle is @INF Sportsnet on X and INF Sportsnet for Facebook.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're the Backstreet Boys, and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Real quickly, we have breaking news. I will get to our Ask the Pros question in just a second. But this is one after another. This is not good for the Cincinnati Bengals. According to Adam Schefter, Bengals and 3-time pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson has requested to be traded from Cincinnati per league source. Hendrickson is due to make $15 million this season, is looking for more long-term security than Cincinnati has been willing to offer. That's their best defensive player, so that's pretty substantial. Well, after that, I almost have to double take and make sure that this is a real account. Yep, this is Adam Schefter's account that has 11 million followers. Bengals franchise wide receiver T. Higgins also has requested to be traded, being that there have been no contract talks with the team now in over a year. Wait. I know the Bengals have that kind of stereotype or reality of being cheap. They haven't had contract talks in over a year. So no wonder why T. Higgins keeps on bitching and complaining about being in Cincinnati. It kind of reminds me, now they had talks, and I know he left money on the table, but it kind of reminds me of the Packers situation when they had Rodgers and Adams. They had to put so much attention to Rodgers that even though they made offers to Devontae Adams, eventually Adams was like, I'm not really a priority here. And then he requested a trade, and then he ended up going to Stu's Raiders. But in this case, you know they have to eventually pay Jamar Chase. You know they have the deal done with Joe Burrow. You can only pay so many people, but it's how long can you keep people happy? And that's the thing. Just because someone requests a trade doesn't mean that you need to trade them. But with that being said, these guys can walk. And I know you could go down the franchise tag route and all that stuff as it's happened. But I think it's more likely that Trey Hendrickson gets traded. I do than T. Higgins. If he's going to get traded, T. Higgins, it's going to be at the draft. And maybe he gets traded for, by the end of Friday. But I kind of still feel like you tell both players, suck it up. Like if you're not having contract talks anyway, is T. Higgins going to sit out the entirety? Like T. Higgins going to be there, and he's at least going to be there for the playoffs. And we know that sitting out really doesn't, like you could miss some games and you could dog it a little bit, but it doesn't really benefit you. So you always have to wonder how far you're willing to go with these situations. But there you go. That's from Adam Schefter. That T. Higgins has requested a trade, and so has Trey Hendrickson. When it's all said and done, that either of those guys get traded. If I set the over-under line by the end of this weekend at a half of a trade, half for Hendrickson and for T. Higgins, you take the over or the under, Carlos?
I'm going to take the over.
I think at least one goes.
I would say Hendrickson stays, Higgins goes.
Okay, so you say the other way. Okay, I could see that. I think one of them will get traded. Because to smooth it over with both and to kind of put both on the back burner where you know you're probably not going to pay them, you could find some ways to incentivize it for this year, whatever, with one. For both, I don't think that's likely. By the way, it's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Brian says, Zach, I read that the college football teams are allowed to use helmets with built-in communication systems now. How much of an impact, good or bad, do you think this will be on logistics and game planning in this upcoming season? I think it's going to be very good. It was so you go to a college game, and Matt Rule said this when the whole Jim Harbaugh scandal was happening. And remember, Matt was in the NFL. They have headsets in the helmets. So in college, that wasn't a thing. So you would have those. You ever look at a college sideline? They had those dopey, posters, and you're trying to figure out what the signs mean, but sometimes they mean nothing, sometimes they mean stuff. That stuff's going to go away now with this built-in communication, which I think is important. And also, you kind of treat it as if it's similar to the NFL. So then the sign stealing kind of goes away, and there's certain hand gestures and things like that, but it goes away because you could talk to your quarterback. So I think that's a positive, absolutely. All right, before we get on out of here, I did read via Pro Football Talk, and I think it was Albert Breer posting what Pro Football Talk did say, that the Broncos have done a lot of work on Bo Nix. I don't think Bo Nix should be a first-round pick, but if Denver trades back and they get future assets, maybe. Or I don't think the Broncos, because of the Sean Payton pick, I don't think they have a second-round pick. I would say Bo Nix is probably a second-round pick. But with that being said, the thing is, if you have 3 quarterbacks go the first 3 picks, and then let's say someone trades up to 4 or 5 and you have 4 out of 5, you know Penix is going to be a first-round pick. But after that, it's like, is it crazy that someone trades up into the back end of the first round to go take another quarterback? And maybe that's where it happens, where it's not as rich to give up one of those, future draft picks. Yeah, the Broncos are sitting there at 12 and 76. Those are their first 2 picks in the draft. So Bo Nix won't be there at 76. But I know people are going to say, oh, but Drew Brees and, the comparisons that Bo Nix has, that maybe that's what Sean Payton's going to look for. I would be surprised in the first round if Denver's taken a quarterback. I think they could try, but I think there'll be other teams that are more desperate. And then finally, I do find this stuff funny with J.J. McCarthy. So Dane Brugler, who covers the draft, and he's one of those draft insiders, he said plenty of buzz for J.J. McCarthy at 3. That will throw a wrench in almost every mock. Then you have 3 guys, Dane Brugler being one of them, Albert Breer being another one, and Hayden Winks, who I'm not really familiar with him. Oh, no, Hayden Winks is someone that was transcribing what Daniel Jeremiah had to say. Daniel Jeremiah, we know. I don't view the Giants as a J.J. McCarthy team. Dane Brugler then said, put me in this camp too, based on what I've heard. And then Albert Breer, I'll third that. So I find it funny that Dane's hearing buzz about J.J. at 3, but then also a team that needs a quarterback at 6. You hear from Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, and Albert Breer that they don't all think J.J. McCarthy's in play. And then I heard that J.J. McCarthy was on Rich Eisen's show today, and he's like, I had great meetings with the Giants. That's the team I met with the most. Once again, when I said to Dexter Henry, no one has any clue what they're talking about this time of the year, unless they are really buddy-buddy with an executive, and the executive has a few cocktails and calls them up and spills their heart to them. All righty, we'll be back tomorrow. The draft is here. It gets underway tomorrow. We'll be on from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 p.m. Pacific. Andrew Perloff is going to join us in studio in the 4 p.m. Eastern time hour. Big thanks to Dallas Turner, Joe Alt, Brian Thomas Jr., Bart Winkler for stopping by. Big thanks to each and every one of you for participating in the extravaganza, as always. And, of course, thank you to Carlos Ortiz. And also a big thanks to Stuart Kovacs as well. Okay? That's all the time we got today. We'll talk mañana, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.